Diddy was growing up, he had to have ran into Tupac a couple of times, and they might have had some old beef. They might have, maybe Diddy got jealous that Tupac was going to actually be the biggest music mogul out of New York. And at this time, Jay-Z wasn't popping yet. 50 Cent wasn't popping yet. This is the reason why 50 Cent is speaking up after all this time, because he knows that he's the big dog now in New York. And now he sees what Diddy was doing and he's exposing him, because they can't let Diddy get the shine like that, knowing that he did Tupac wrong like that. 50 Cent told P. Diddy, he sent him a message and everything. He told him straight up that whatever they did to Tupac, the money he sent, the hating on him, the envy, jealousy, and the greed, he was wrong for that. And this is the same exact thing that Mike Tyson told Keefe. That's why Mike Tyson told Keefe to actually come to him face to face and they could duke it out like grown men instead of having to have his cousin do something to Tupac. If Keefe actually had a problem with Tupac, and if P. Diddy actually had a problem with Tupac, why couldn't they be man enough to go handle that themselves? Because at the end of the day, people always know that they're going to try to send somebody else to do it, but they want to take all the credit for it. You see how Keefe tried to take all the credit for Tupac? He wanted to make all the money off of his book. He wanted to get all the clout in the streets and have people who was telling him not to talk to ever. The same guys that they've been running away from for 20, 30 years in the streets. The same guys that they always throw to work, and he was dipping and dodging on the road, moving whatever it was, gallons or whatever he was moving, and super OG because he took Tupac out like that's supposed to mean something. One thing you guys got to understand is that he didn't even do it himself. He actually had his cousin, whoever was in the car, do it. And so this is the reason why he set all of them up, told the feds who did it. He actually told Orlando Anderson himself and said he's the one that actually pulled the trigger and everything. And so this is why Keefe he actually went around flaunting and like trying to actually flex that he got off with the Tupac thing. He was trying to talk and diss Tupac in the interview, saying, yeah, he was breakdancing, he was full of lead and this and that, right? The disrespect that he had, the karma came back on him so quick because he didn't know how to stop talking about an open case that he actually was involved in. And even though he thought he had the immunity, these dudes, especially somebody like Keefe they have no idea how the law works. The only thing they really know is the little situations that they've been in and how they got off for those certain things. But everybody knows that if they don't find out exactly what you did and they don't come after you, the worst thing you could do is keep talking about it and make them keep thinking about whatever it is that the info you're giving out. Keefe took that agreement and he thought that he was able to speak freely on this forever. He thought that he had the best deal in the world with the feds. He made a deal with the feds, the same guys that his neighborhood.
Hey man, I want to ask a quick question, man.
Yo, what's up?
Hey, I want to know how do you feel about the Tupac situation?
Well, actually, the Tupac situation, happened right here, and it's a great place to really talk about it. As you can see, this is the memorial for Tupac, over 1 million signatures. But you also got to keep in mind, this is actually where it happened. Right here, right there is where Tupac's car was, and right here where we're standing, a few feet away, is actually where the white car pulled up. Now, they were having a great time. You got to keep in mind, Mike Tyson fight. They're celebrating their partner's birthday. It's a great night. Nothing was happening but a good time. And when they pulled up here, some girls were yelling at him. Very famous guy. Some girls were yelling at him. So when the girls yelled, Tupac himself, popped out the window. And that's part when that last picture was taken that everybody knows. When Tupac popped out the window, hollering at the girls, hey, what's up, whoop-de-whoop. The white car pulled up right here. And I popped him and, pulled out the blicky and the stick, and they went at him.
So what exactly does Mike Tyson know that's going to be able to actually put the feds onto a lot more details, man? So this is what everyone knows. Everybody came down to Vegas at that Mike Tyson fight. When Tupac was in the MGM lobby and they seen Orlando Anderson, they seen that whole crew, they stomped him out. Tupac felt like Mike Tyson at that moment. And so this is what made them be like, wait, Tupac, he's not a gangbanger. He's always riding with Suge, and we know Suge's guys are really the ones who have the crew. But at the end of the day, we can't let somebody that's not even part of the clique, and they got a rivalry between Suge and the other group that was in the car. And so when they heard that Tupac was the one that jumped the dude and stomped him out right there in front of MGM, like the whole entire tourist saw everything. So people was going back to their respective states and countries like, yeah, we just seen this dude get stomped out by Tupac. So he didn't want to live with that. Orlando didn't want to live with being the guy that got stomped out by Tupac and not doing anything about it. He couldn't have that street cred. He couldn't have that reputation because that would bring him down. People would start trying him now, thinking it's sweet. So when he went and told his uncle, hey, Tupac was the one that actually stopped me out, Keefe D's his uncle, so Keefe D's thinking like, wait, Tupac did that to you? Oh, and he got $1 million on his head? Let's go, let's ride. This is when they jumped into the Cadillac, man, and the whole chase started happening from the MGM. Suge was driving, but he didn't know people was following him like that. They had all the Mob James, they had everybody behind them. They had a whole caravan. The feds have started the second investigation of Tupac. Now they're looking into exactly how Diddy wrote the $1 million check. Who did Diddy give the $1 million check to that was supposed to take it to Keefe D? Because this is what they're trying to figure out now. They know that the $1 million check did not just grow legs and walk all the way from New York to LA to Vegas where it all went down. Somebody was supposed to drive in that car. This is why they're looking at the whole entire drivers, the entourage of P. Diddy to find out exactly who was in town meeting up with Keefe D. Because how did Diddy be able to speak on the phone to Keefe D if he didn't call him directly? That means somebody, a middleman, had to have actually took the call from Diddy from the beeper and the pager. Because if y'all know anything about anything, you know that in the late 90s, early 2000s, everybody had a pager and a beeper. All you 60, 70-year-olds, you know what I'm talking about when it comes down to it. Because at the end of the day, Diddy made the call to the dude he wrote the $1 million check to. That guy was supposed to take that $1 million check, cash it, and then disperse it to Keefe D, Big Dre, Orlando, everybody. They tried to pay off the rental car place to wrap the car because the shell casings that was found in from the detail shop came back to the same strap they used to hit up Tupac. This is why Greg Caden, the first visit he made to actual Keefe D's house, they sat there and talked in the garage. He said he had dirt on him from everything that they was doing in the streets and that he was willing to actually go and get him and lock him up right then and there. But Keefe D had to file the agreement. He agreed to disclose the actual secret information that he's been holding on to about Tupac, because from Keefe D being exactly who he is, he spoke with the higher ups. He spoke with Suge Knight. He spoke with Diddy. They all decided that this whole thing was going to happen. If you rocking with Tupac and you support Tupac, put the 222s in the comment section right now, because it's justice for Tupac or nothing. At the end of the day, this 27 years took way too long. The first 6 months, they should have been able to go to Keefe D and be able to figure out exactly what he knew since he was in the car. He's the one the name came back to in that Cadillac. If they would have just got the plates of that Cadillac, they would have known that that was a rental car from LA. So they knew that it was a whole case. This is why LAPD took the case. They found out that the fingerprints that matched the suspects at the Tupac came back from that rental car. That's when Greg Caden took the case. They could have solved the Biggie case a lot quicker, but they had to switch to the Pac case because Keefe D was at Biggie's party and he was at the MGM where Pac had last been seen, leaving the Orlando fight and the Mike Tyson fight. The security camera footage released by ADT and TMZ says that what Vlad's interview showed was correct. The fact that they jumped him in. This whole thing is breaking news because now that Diddy's officially been charged in this indictment for the Tupac case, is growing and this whole thing is rising to fame and bringing everything back into the forefront, just due to the fact that Lil C's, he revealed exactly what Diddy did seconds before Biggie got sent up, before Tupac got sent up. Mob James knew exactly what they was doing. He was riding right behind Tupac and Suge Knight. So that BMW wasn't traveling alone. Tupac does not ride around alone, and Suge Knight does not ride around without his crew following close behind him. So how did these people end up intercepting, going around the crew, and being able to get right next to Tupac? Just like how they actually passed Big security guard, cut him off, cut off Gene Deal, and hit up Biggie when Diddy already ran that red light. This is the same thing. And what we don't understand is, how could all these people know that Diddy never said anything, but they were scared and they knew that he had the $1 million check that they wrote out for him? They stood there and really looked at what Diddy was doing a long time ago. And if they wasn't willing to speak up back then and tell Mike Tyson to look out for Tupac, there isn't any reason for all of this stuff, because at the end of the day, we all know that what's in the dark is going to come out to light, man. And the whole arrogance behind P. Diddy doing all this is making a lot of people go against each other. You got to remember, this whole thing was to push the East Coast, West Coast. Look how many people got fooled into joining gangs and joining street groups, all because they thought that they was doing something by actually furthering the East Coast, West Coast beef.